Hello everyone, Ladislas Maurice of The Wandering Investor. So today we are in beautiful Tivat in Montenegro in the midst of winter. Peter Square Meter, how are you?
I'm good. And actually finally people to see what my hair looks like here because I only have a cap on. But I came on my motorbike today at your request. God help us later on. So.
Okay, at my request, we were chatting yesterday and then he showed me his new toy. So I said, yeah, come on your motorbike, we're gonna go for a ride.
The bigger the boy, the bigger the toy.
So today we're gonna have a look at 3 different apartments here in Tivat that are all below 250,000 euros. They're very different from each other. We'll be looking at the pros and cons of each because that's often a request you get from some of your clients.
It is. We get a lot of requests and people are looking for something to use for themselves or for an investment. And quite often the investment side of it can be different to what people are looking for their own use. You know, so people, if it's for their own use, they want to have beautiful views and a balcony and so on and so forth. It's for an investment, quite often it can be more about the location than the, let's say, the aesthetic sometimes.
Cool. All right, fantastic. So we'll go there and we'll go to all the apartments and do approximate numbers. So before we go there, can you tell us a little bit about winter in Montenegro? Because I mean, this is quite nice, right?
Well, we're still officially winter. So here we are. Just one thing that's kind of interesting about Montenegro, you have 270 days of sunshine. So that leaves you with about 3 months of cloudy, rainy weather. So we're in winter now. This is a typical day for winter. It's about 16 degrees now. It's the morning. There's different things to do. Obviously, people kind of enjoy the outdoor life in Montenegro. So obvious thing is sailing and fishing maybe. But also you have the winter sports. You've got Kalashin. Kalashin is quite an interesting up and coming place. We bought in Kalashin 15, 16 years ago. I suppose the point of that is, I don't know what the hockey phrase is, but something like going to where the puck's going to go to. So we bought, realizing that Kalashin was a very interesting place. A lot of development there. Most of the money that was invested in Montenegro for the CBI, Citizenship by Investment, went into Kalashin, about 75% of it. As a result, you've got about 8 five-star hotels up there. The ski kilometers are increasing, so around about now you've got about 45 kilometers of ski runs, which will increase to I think around about 120 kilometers of ski runs, and they'll be connecting different mountains together. Again, kind of interesting if you like the outdoor life. I mean, I mentioned I've got a motorbike. I want to do enduro bike riding and touring. Montenegro is quite famous for its TET, which is a Trans-European Trail. But if you like hiking or horseback riding or 4x4 excursions, there's a lot going on. So I think one of the most interesting things about Montenegro is there's a lot going on in a very kind of a small area. It's very diverse.
Yeah. So lots going on, fairly affordable, low taxes, easy to get residency in. With the whole ski situation, it looks great on paper. And when there is snow, it's amazing. The problem is there isn't always snow.
You're right,
the season is quite short. Some years there is no season, which is quite terrible for the region. But when there is snow, it's really nice and quite affordable as well to go skiing. And then again, if you can't ski in Montenegro, you can go skiing in Bosnia, you can go skiing in Serbia. There are higher mountains there. So there's a lot here in the Balkans when it comes to skiing, or even Bulgaria.
I think the interesting thing about a place like Kalashin is it's not just about the kind of winter things. I know we're kind of theming this around kind of what you do in the winter here, but the interesting thing about the mountain resorts, let's call them, is a lot of the time people, spring, summer and autumn, they love those places for hiking or mountain bike riding and so on and so forth. So it doesn't really detract from the place. It's interesting because you have another ski resort in Montenegro called Jablak, which is slightly higher, more guaranteed snow, but actually all the emphasis has gone on to Kalashin because that's where all the investment's gone, and also its close proximity to Podgorica. Now they have the first part of the motorway which goes from Bar to Belgrade. The first part of the very expensive Chinese-built motorway goes from Podgorica to Kalashin.
Yeah. So essentially the ski slopes are approximately 2 hours away from here. Roughly 2.5?
Yeah, 2.5 hours, yeah.
So you can go from this, take the car or the bike, 2.5 hours away, you're on the ski slope. So this is really the sort of lifestyle that a lot of people are looking for, especially combined with low taxes. Cool, fantastic. So Peter, let's go check out these apartments.
Let's go. Should we get on the bike?
Yeah, let's do it.
God help you.
All right.
Yo, come on, let's go, go, go.
Cool, so here we are. So it's this building right here. And before we go into the numbers, I think it's important to elaborate a little bit on architecture in Montenegro. So the most premium is typically the old stone houses, etc., that get renovated. That's what people really want. Those are really expensive per square meter. Then you have all the nice new modern buildings. And then if you want a good deal from a square meter point of view, then you just go for older buildings from the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, like this one, that are architecturally not particularly pleasing, but that's where you get your best bang for buck, and in many cases as well, the best rental yields.
Yeah, I think the end of the day, you're going to be inside the property rather than outside it, so you're not looking at the architecture all the time anyway.
That's a good Peter square meter.
Yeah, no. So it's actually, so once you're in there, I think the great thing about this is actually for Airbnb is fantastic. Yeah. You'll see the let's say the money shots from the balcony. The view is phenomenal over Porto Montenegro.
Let's go there and do some rough numbers.
Absolutely.
All right,
let's go. So here we are. This one's 2 bedrooms.
Okay, so older furniture. I guess the furniture is included?
Furniture's included. What you see is what you get.
Yeah. Okay, so typically there's not much of a market for secondary market furniture here in Montenegro. So when people sell apartments, they just sell the furniture with it. So this is quite typical. Beautiful.
So this apartment, 60 something square meters, it's 185,000 euros. So it makes it round about 3,000 euros a square meter. So for this location, especially this view, it's actually really good value.
Yeah. I'd say the biggest issue is not necessarily the architecture. It is rather the lack of allocated parking. You know, there is some parking here. We can see the cars parked. We're in winter and cars are already kind of struggling to find a spot. So in summer, this would be problematic. People typically, when they come to buy real estate in Montenegro, they do it in autumn, in winter, in spring, and in summer, they're just discovering the place or they're just spending their holidays here. But parking is a major issue.
Parking is a big issue everywhere in Montenegro, so it's really, really good that it does have parking. So yes, it is a bit problematic. There might be people here who are parked there that shouldn't be. So obviously in the summer, then they can be told to move out of the way. So yes, but it does have the kind of the parking. It's not allocated, but it's parking in that area.
So it's parking for the houses here, but there's not enough parking, so it's on a first come, first served basis. So I'd say this is the biggest issue. So let's say we were to rent this out on the long-term market as is without renovating the bathroom, which needs a bit of a renovation and changing the furniture. As is, how much could investors get?
Long-term rental prices have softened a bit, but even so, I'd say the prices now would be 750, 800 a month.
Cool, so you're looking at a gross rental yield of about 4.5%, 5% generally speaking for an apartment like this. So net, obviously less after management and expenses. But yeah, it's not you're not gonna get rich doing long-term rentals here. This would be more of a play for the short-term market.
Yeah, the short-term rental, I would say in the summer months, you're gonna get 120, 150 per night for a place like this. You can see in the bedrooms, you can sleep 5. If you make the sofa a sofa bed, you can sleep up to 7. And when you're showing people this view, and the interior is not too bad actually, then I think it's an easy renter. So Tivat's extremely popular because it's a great location and because of Porto Montenegro and things.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a hill to go to the beach, but I mean, Tivat has a lot of hills, so people just accept that.
Hence the views.
Yeah, hence the views, yeah, true. Yeah. Fantastic, so now we're gonna go check out number 2, which is right next to Porto Montenegro, right?
Exactly, let's go there.
All right, let's go.
Right, here we are. We've actually got 2 apartments at the moment.
All right, so I think let's discuss Montenegrin safety features.
Yeah.
This here is quite special, all right? So people like to drink here. So imagine you're a guest, you leave the apartment, you say thank you, and then you just, I mean, this
The
is
first
just,
step's always a doozy.
this is just unthinkable.
Yeah.
And this building is what, 25, 30 years old?
I would say so, yeah. Probably
Yeah.
80s, actually. Might be 40 years old. Yeah.
Yeah, and no one ever thought of adding a handrail here. Like this has been like this for 4 decades. People have been comfortable with this. So this, welcome to Montenegro. So yeah, if I were to buy this, I'd definitely add a handrail.
Sure.
If you had an Airbnb here and your guests fell, you would not have to worry about lawsuits. Like what would happen? Let's say I'm a guest, I'm here, I fall, I sue, I go to the police. What would happen?
I think it's debatable, but if it was me, I'd probably just put a handrail up there
Yeah.
anyway, just in case there would be a problem.
I don't think the police would even do anything about
They may not. They may just think the people are idiots.
Yeah, it's like you should have watched your step.
Yeah, you shouldn't have fallen. Yeah.
This is not
That's it,
America.
Yeah.
So tell us about the location, because this is the key selling point of this apartment.
As you know, it's all about location, location, location. That in spades is Porto Montenegro. This is as close to Porto Montenegro as you can possibly get.
Yeah.
It's about 100 meters away. Yeah, and so this is location, 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 but half the price of Porto Montenegro. But you have the same appeal, and it's great because you have these amazing outlooks with the football pitch, the park. You've got Porto Montenegro and Pine over there.
All right, so this apartment that we'll see is 4,000 euros a square meter,
Yep.
and Porto Montenegro, literally 30-second walk away, is how
Yep.
much per square meter?
Average now 8, but it's going to go. The new release that they're going to have will be 18 to 25,000 euros per square meter, which is basically central London prices. They have reservations for 10 already.
Cool. So between 8 and 20,000 euros a square meter right here, and this is 4.
Yeah.
Obviously, it comes without the amenities and without handrails. And then tell us about the park here.
Yeah, this is just the town park. You have the park, you've got tennis courts over there, football pitch over there. It's really nice, yeah. It's just very peaceful, tranquil area.
Let's go check it out.
Okay, so here we are. It's this apartment. There's actually 2. This one's a mirror image of the one next door that we entered in. As you see, it's just been recently refurbished, so you have this kind of flooring throughout. 64 square meters, 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom. Let's go out. You've got lovely views over here of the centre. This is really, you've got the open air theatre just here. Then there's Pine, which is a really lovely space to see. As you can see, the sea's just over there.
Cool. So you said 250,000 euros for this.
Yeah.
All right. What about parking? What's the situation?
Parking, you have parking directly in front of the building. Again, just first come, first serve, but there's plenty of parking, I think, for all the places.
I think parking is less of an issue here. So 2 things. One, there is more space because there's just more parking spots. And 2, from a rental point of view, people who rent right downtown in Tivat, like here, often you have people that just fly in and don't actually have a car and don't need a car.
They want a location like this because they don't want a car and they just want to walk around, they want to spend their evenings in Porto.
The other one, the car is more needed and parking is
Absolutely.
more of an issue. There's a lot more friction in that other apartment.
Yeah.
All right, so this is the first bedroom, cool balcony here as well, and second bedroom. All right, so comparing this apartment to the one we saw before, this is about 4,000 euros a square meter.
Yeah.
The other one was 3,000 euros a square meter. I think this one is a much better investment for a few reasons. So sure, it's about 33% more expensive per square meter, but one, there's a renovation that's been done, a full renovation. The other one was a bit old.
Yep.
And renovations now, if you do a full gut job, how much are we looking at per square meter?
Oh, 1,000 euros a square meter?
1,000 euros per square meter, for a full gut job. That's the price now.
Yeah.
So already we're seeing the kind of the
Value.
return in the renovation, the value, and then the location is a lot better. So though there isn't an actual sea view, you're literally, I mean, this is Porto Montenegro, like we said, 8 to 20,000 euros a square meter, and then you attract the sort of crowd that you attract in an apartment like this. Is people who want to be near Porto Montenegro. They just happen to live here, but they'll just spend their whole time in Porto Montenegro. They just can't afford Porto Montenegro, but they'll be hunting for husbands or doing their thing in
or wives.
or wives.
Yeah.
They'll just be there and then renting here, and they feel they're there, almost there. Not quite, but almost there.
Sure.
And then the parking situation. is less problematic because so many people fly in, don't need a car, and here you don't need a car. The other side, I mean, you don't need a car, but you'll be feeling when you go up and down that hill.
I would definitely have a car there. If nothing else, you need to have an electric bicycle or something like that, or whatever.
Yeah.
Because that hill is it's quite a walk up that hill. So
it is. And then the parking was an issue. There wasn't that much parking here. There's more parking. I mean, there's literally just a paid parking here, which is not too expensive.
And at the moment, that's 50 cents an hour.
So as a rental, this would do. What do you think it would do on the long-term market?
Long-term rental, I would say on a good day 2,000 a month. On a bad day, 1,500 a month. I think 1,500 a month would be quite, doable here.
1,500 a month?
Yeah, for this location for sure. Yeah. You get nice furniture and things like that. Yeah.
Okay, so
the location is very special. I think the kind of person who's going to take this is going to be a consultant coming abroad. The company is going to be paying the rent most likely. They probably have an allocation of 1,500 to 2,000 a month anyway, which the company is going to pay in expenses. So I don't think it's a far stretch to say that that'd be the rate here.
Yeah, I would not go for cheap furniture here. I would put actually nice furniture. I would make it a nice rental. I would not cheap out on the furnishing here. So I'd go in with a big furniture budget. 1,500, I don't know. But I don't think it's impossible.
No, I think it's kind of the market rate for something like this. We're renting out things like this in this kind of size for those kind of prices. So, yeah.
Cool. In any case, there we were looking at 4 to 5% gross yield. Here, I don't know by how much more it'll be, but it's definitely more in this apartment than the other one.
I would suspect if you do the figures, you're looking maybe 7, 8, even up to 10% gross yield.
So before we go on to the next apartment, I wrote a whole article on the real estate market here in Montenegro, the areas that are interesting, the areas you should avoid, some mistakes that people make that you should be aware of. There's a link below. The next apartment is very different. It's more of a resort, right?
Yeah, it's a resort actually. It's kind of set up almost as an apart hotel. The developers kind of sold the apartments, and the owners of those apartments can actually put into the hotel pool. Big pool, it's got a gym, it's even got a conference center. So actually from this year, you'll be able to get much longer kind of occupancy. So instead of it just being summer, then it's kind of going to be all year round.
All right, we're going to go check it out. So the first one was cheap and views. This one is location, 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 and the other one is amenities.
Absolutely.
All right,
Let's go.
Let's go.
So, keyless entry. What do you think?
Nice. Yeah, nice and modern. So tell us a bit about the resort, because it's not really a thing in Montenegro, resorts with nice amenities. It's a very recent phenomenon, right?
No, this is an established Turkish developer. They've got 4 5-star hotels in Turkey. This is a 4-star development, and as you can see, everything's beautifully finished off. You've got sort of floor-to-ceiling wardrobes there. Great amenities here. As you can see, we've got this fantastic views here, beautiful views over the Tivat Bay, Sveti Marko Island, and Luscious Peninsula.
And the airport right here, which is kind of cool.
Airport is right in front of you, but you don't suffer from the noise.
Yeah.
It's bizarrely enough, the planes fly straight over Porto Montenegro and then bank left. Yeah, so great facilities, massive pool, beautiful restaurant directly above us with awesome views. There's a gym downstairs with a little kind of Pilates studio, conference center, which is really great for the kind of all year round rentals.
All right, price point.
183,500 for a 47 or 49 square meter.
All right, so about 3,500.
Yeah.
So we saw an apartment for 3,000, now one for 3.5, one for 4.
Yeah.
Cool. So this one, I would say, is for rentals. My issue with this is that you really need a car.
Absolutely,
like if you do not have a car here, you will be miserable. And if you manage to rent it out on Airbnb or whatever, because people like the pool and you tell them that you're close to town, they'll book it. It's their first time in Montenegro, and then you'll just get a bad review because there's nothing around.
Yeah, but you know what? Let me push back a little bit on that. Everyone coming to a place like this will rent a car.
Yeah.
They want to come to Montenegro. They want to discover the place. They want to have a nice base. And for some people, this is like an ideal location for them because they want a little retreat. So they're going to come here. They're going to have drinks by the pool. They're going to hang out, and then this is going to be their base for when they go for trips to Luscious or Budvar or Herceg Novi or Kotor or so on.
So you said they recently added this conference room to try to get year-round bookings?
Yeah, it was always part of the plan. So the idea is that they get all year-round bookings. It's set up and run like a hotel, so they're really kind of not aggressive, but they're really kind of pushing on the bookings and things. So you can actually put it in the pool of rental properties, which is quite good. They'll take quite a chunk out of the rent. I think it's 50%.
50.
However, they get higher prices, higher occupancy, and so on and so forth. So it's not so bad, you know. So, but they take it they'll take it from a set period. Let's say I think it's from April to September. You can also rent it yourself. You're not obliged to give it to them, and you can just put it on Airbnb or organize your own cleaning and so on.
Yeah, I was checking on Booking.com right now for early March. We're looking at 100 euros a night for an apartment like this.
Or something like this, yeah.
I'm not even going to try to guess what the returns are on this. I don't know.
Let me hazard a guess. I think in summer nights you're going to be getting maybe 150 a night for something like this. I think that's quite a reasonable thing. I mean, I'd quite happily pay sort of 150, maybe up to 200 a night, you know, like July and August. For, you know, it's a 4-star hotel with lots of facilities. And so, yeah, you're going to have good occupancy, and especially like you can make a decision if you want to have the convenience of actually using the apartment when you want to use it, or just giving it to the management and then letting them kind of run with it. So.
Yeah, from a lifestyle and then Airbnb the rest of the year situation, this is really nice. From a pure investment point of view, I think property number 2 is actually quite good. So I wouldn't even just say it's better than the others. I would say property number 2 right next to Porto Montenegro is a good investment. Like, it's something I would consider myself.
Do you know what my experience is? Is that people come to Montenegro, they come to me and they say, look, I'm looking for an investment property, and I'd say, okay, well, let me show you the ones which have the best in return on your investment. Property number 2 is that property, fantastic investment, great location, and so on and so forth. Then they go, you know what, I was thinking something maybe 1 or 2 bedrooms and bathrooms with a balcony and a sea view. I said, you want what everybody else wants, yeah? And so are you investing in yourself, or is it just an investment property? And if you're investing in yourself, then that's fine as well. And then you can actually rent it out, put it, and then basically we'll just cover the costs. So whatever you get in rent will cover the kind of all the costs that your management fees and so on and so forth. Probably even cover a 50% mortgage on the place if you raise finances back home or something for it. So, but then you're actually investing more in yourself than you are sort of like for purely return on investment. Yeah,
people just need to be very clear with their objectives, because it's just easy to come here, like you say, hey, I want something I want to spend time in and put on Airbnb, and I want great returns. Generally speaking, a place that you love will not give you the best return on investment.
But it might give you yourself the best return in your heart and soul. So,
And Montenegro does steal people's hearts.
Absolutely.
So I wrote a whole article on the real estate market here in Montenegro, where you should invest, where you should not invest, mistakes to avoid. There's a link below, and then if you want to get in touch with Peter Square Meter, so you're the expert when it comes to real estate in Tivat, Luštica, Kotor, and Herceg Novi as well.
Absolutely.
That whole Bay area. All right, Peter Square Meter.
That's it.
Thank you.
It's been emotional.
Make sure to download my free ebook, 12 Mistakes to Avoid When Investing in International Real Estate, which you can find on my website, linked below, and feel free to follow me on Instagram @TheWandering Investor. I look forward to hearing from you.